My name is Manojit Acharya, and I'm the Managing Director of Jungheinrich Lift Truck India Private Limited. Jungheinrich India is a part of the 4 billion euro Jungheinrich AG group. In India, the company is in operation for the last more than 8 years. We are a team of about 150 employees in India and are headquartered here in Mumbai. We are strongly focused towards servicing the customer as well as only and not only in terms of selling. And that's how more than half of our employees are actually part of the large service network that we have all over the country. We have our main warehouse here in Mumbai and also a couple of regional warehouses in Bangalore and in Gurgaon. With this, that's the setup that we have in India, and we are catering to a large variety of industries all over the country. We are here with the entire Jungheinrich product range and the 360-degree business model. Jungheinrich India is gaining more and more importance within the group as part of the APAC team. APAC itself is naturally now getting more because it's the faster growing part of the world in terms of the business volumes, and hence APAC and India, of course, becoming more and more important for the entire Jungheinrich group. We have pretty ambitious growth plans for Jungheinrich in the coming years.
So you being a solutions provider to warehouse sector, what does Jungheinrich bring to the table for its customers?
Jungheinrich is known globally to be a technology leader. As far as technology in the entire space of material handling equipment and intralogistics in general, Jungheinrich is far ahead than the others in terms of technology. That's one of the biggest things that we bring onto the table for the Indian industry. The next thing is like I mentioned some time back about the total 360-degree business model, which the whole thing is already launched into India. While we do sell all our equipment over here in India, we are also the first international OEM to start doing rental business on our own. So when we engage with our customers, the customers have flexibility whether they want to go in with the capex model of purchasing equipment from us or into the opex model of taking equipment from us on rent. Even within rental, we have two different models. One is the long-term rental model, where the customers get brand new equipment from us for long periods of time. It could be anything 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, or even more. However, once the customer starts off, he could have several seasonal peaks of, further equipment that he needs. And that's something which we cater from our short-term rental fleet. We have a large fleet of equipment where we can provide these equipment to customers for shorter periods of time. It could be a few months we are also into the used equipment business. When the equipment coming back from rental contracts are refurbished and then provided again to the customers with a second life. Apart from all this, we are also into the racking solutions as well as the automation solutions. So with this entire product range and the fully rounded business model, we feel we are in a very good position to support the customer. But most important in this is our focus in after sales, our focus towards servicing the customer. We have more than 70 service engineers located at more than 25 locations all over the country. Our service engineers are not located only at metro cities. Our service engineers are all over in smaller towns, in wherever we have a large base of our equipment, we have placed our service engineers there in many, many small locations and sometimes, dedicated to certain projects. I think all this put together is what the customer expects and what the customer appreciates from Jungheinrich India.
So looking at your broad range of portfolios and products and services, what do you think that how has been this year for the company, and how do you see the last quarter of 2020? Is it a good situation? Is it improving? What do you think?
I think 2020 has been the most unprecedented. Unprecedented has been a word which I had hardly used maybe before in my life, but this year has brought this into the vocabulary of everyone in the world. Uh, a lot of things were happening all over the world, all over the country. If we look at us, and if I have to, you know, summarize it now towards the end of the year, I think the year has not been as bad as what we had thought it would be, let's say, in the March, April timeline. The big thing, I think, which we brought on in this year was care. Our biggest thing was to take care of our customers, to take care of our employees. Safety and hygiene were of high importance. Nevertheless, it was important that our customers continue with their business and we can provide them all the support to run their business. As we strongly support the essential services sector, we quickly got our act together in terms of approvals to get keep our warehouses open, to be able to support them with equipment, with spare parts, and for our service engineers to be available for the customer at that point of time. Nevertheless, customers also came back to us with more support needed. And I think during the complete lockdown period, a large number of our rental customers were provided with rent-free period during the complete lockdown time. While it did mean financial losses to us, but what was more important for us at that point of time is that we stand by our customers during their difficult time. At the same time was supporting all our employees through that period and even now, and supporting them in every which way, supporting them with all the support for personal protective equipment, for the people who were going onto the field, to provide them all the IT infrastructure support for the people who were working from home, to ensure them and to give them the assurance of their employment, of their remuneration, and everything else. I think this is something which paid off very well to us. In terms of business, as soon as business started opening up, the customers did come back to us. And thereby, we were able to considerably increase our market share in the country in this year. Market volumes may have dropped, but within that, I think the share of our market has definitely. As far as the team went, I think during this period, the team has bonded even more and even better than before. And today they are motivated and ready to take on more challenges going forward. As far as the market is concerned, sometime by the end of August, beginning September, we started seeing the markets coming back. And the last 3 or 4 months have definitely been much better in terms of the market volume. And we expect that 2021 will continue in this range. And maybe in a year, year and a half, we should go back to the 2018 uh, market condition.
So now moving to the topic of policies and GST, it has led to consolidation of warehouse sector in India. So has it benefited you as an MHE player or an MHE high-end MHE supplier?
Yeah, GST was possibly one of the best things to happen to MHE. Uh, I mean, in 2018, mid 2018, when GST was rolled out, it clearly saw a lot of consolidation into the warehousing industry. And what that meant for us, or what that meant for the entire MHE industry, is the warehouses started becoming bigger, started becoming taller, and that clearly meant the requirement of more uh, higher end products from our portfolio. It saw a huge boost in the market in 2018, even the first few months of 2019. But after that is what we saw. 2019, the economy slowed down, and so did the market volume for MHEs. And of course, 2020 is what we see right now. So yeah, it came. Policies did help initially, but after that, there has definitely been a slowing down. We are hoping that going forward in the years, this really can strongly come.
So now moving to the automation and digitalization, be the new normal in warehousing and MSME sector due to COVID-19. So looking at that, is this the new normal that we are looking at after COVID or during the COVID era?
My personal feeling is automation and digitalization will, of course, grow, will definitely grow in the warehousing sector in the coming days and years. However, will it become something like a new normal? I won't say. I won't say that, it would, the entire usage of the current set of warehousing equipment or MHEs in general will move completely towards automation. Maybe the Indian economy or the industry is still not in a position to move towards that. However, it's going to bring about quite a bit of change, and that would be, I would say, a sort of gradual change, but a definitive change with every sector moving a little higher up the ladder. Simple things like we have already witnessed in the last months that customers are not using a thing like a hand pallet truck as much anymore. They're moving more towards the battery operated pallet trucks, basically because their dependence for doing the same amount of work on physical labor or physical number of manpower would be lesser. So, from small changes such as these would be change all over. I mean, warehouses will get bigger, warehouses throughput would improve and thereby more higher end equipment will start getting used. Of course, we have a lot of customers, industries which are already at the higher end of the spectrum and which are definitely going to move more towards automation. So, in short, yeah, automation and digitalization is clearly a thing of the which is this pandemic has accelerated that movement, but there would be movement spectrum of the industry.
So looking at the current trends, like every company is trying to automate, maybe in terms of partially or probably in some steps wherein they can accommodate automation. So is MHE solutions, automated MHE solutions affordable for even SMEs in India today?
Automation in MHE is a very, very vast subject, and there are various things involved in it. And there are companies such as ours working at every level and every aspect of it. Every day we see newer solutions coming into those. At this point of time, if we have to speak specifically about the MSME sector, I would say there are some solutions which are available, which are getting more and more competitive day by day and becoming more affordable for them. But the higher end automation solutions will need a little bit of more time before they become absolutely affordable for the MSME. It's not a question actually about whether it's an MSME or a big sector. It's all about what's the throughput. If it is an MSME but has a very high throughput, then it makes sense to move in for automation. If the throughput is not so high, if the productivity is not, then that same automation solution turns out to be more expensive for that application. There could be several applications in the MSME where high-end automation is already existent and already affordable.
So looking at impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the industries and companies, so what do you think are the key lessons that we learned from this pandemic, and how is it changing the ways that businesses have operated today?
Well, I think it's changed in every way. Uh, what are the lessons learned? I don't know. I mean, if we have to make a list of the entire thing, it would be a long list. Um, I always felt that a company such as ours, which is in the hardcore capital equipment field, is not a company which can operate effectively from home, for example. Um, I mean, I have been proved wrong. My team is working at almost, or I would say definitely at the same productivity levels, while, till some time back, everybody was working from home, other than our service team, which has been on the field, other than our warehouse teams who are managing the warehouse, and some of the sales team. I think that one of the lessons clearly, what business has shown in the last few months is, earlier we felt that physically meeting, traveling and meeting was the only way to acquire business. And today we see that even the customers today don't want to physically meet all the time. While this may sound like a small thing, but this is bringing about a lot of change in the day-to-day running of business. Uh, Everything is becoming more digital, everything is becoming virtual. We're having virtual conferences nowadays. So nothing has really stopped. Everything is still running, but a lot more virtual. But that will mean our dependence on technology, our dependence on IT is going to be very high. So every company will be really working or is already working in terms of improving their IT infrastructure to be able to support this major change in business takes place. Uh, you hear of a lot of companies nowadays which are clearly reducing their office space. Some companies have decided to, shut down their offices and continue working from home. While we have not taken such a decision, we still are continuing with all our office spaces, but maybe we will not expand as much these spaces as we had thought earlier. So I think there would be changes, and of course, going forward, we will see them more and more becoming reality. But there would be several changes in the way business is carried out.
So looking at the new year being on the verge of some days, and people trying to regroup and regroup actually after COVID-19 pandemic and what they have gone through. So what would be the key concerns for growth, and what are the probable solutions that would help them to come out of this particular effect?
Maybe I'm not really in a position to yet talk about, but of course, challenges is something which we all see. We've seen over the past some time, past few quarters, how the macroeconomic growth of the country, how the GDP growth of the country has slowed down, and that is something which clearly is a cause of concern. That is something where maybe our government needs to, look at some policy changes, some policy acceleration to bring that macroeconomic back on back on track and back to your growth levels. Because that would mean then there is investment in several sectors, and that would finally drive demand generation for all all industries, including ours. Another thing which is of concern right now, which is a big challenge right now, is let's say how the currency rates are fluctuating, how the Indian rupee is doing against the euro, more specific for us, and how that has changed over the last some time. And clearly, that's something which we need to look at going forward. Also, clearer and better support for companies who are looking at expanding in the country and going back to the very often mentioned ease of doing business. We have to look at this and look at this very seriously, because companies who are, in spite of all this, who believe in the Indian market, need to be provided the right kind of support to be able to continue growing and continue expanding into the market. I think these are clearly some top of the line things which are on the minds, which are on my mind at least, and on the minds of several others. And probable solutions, I mean, I would rather reserve my comment.
So could you also list out some emerging trends that you see in the upcoming year or upcoming time when industry is trying to recover, especially in the warehousing sector and material handling as well?
See, I mean, my clear view is that whatever the market segment of ours has seen in 2019 and 2020, the slowing down in 2019 and the is going to see a very fast growth in 2021 and 2022 to bring it back clearly to maybe the 2018 levels, and thereafter would continue growing at a decent pace for the next few years. And I'm right now looking at maybe till the 2025 timeline. The market will be seeing a fair amount of growth. What's going to happen within that? I mean, we have been seeing over the last few months how the warehousing industry has already invested in terms of expansion. Millions of square feet of warehousing have got constructed and started over the last. There are companies who are very bullish about the Indian market, even even though it's going through the current challenges. Warehouses will become bigger. Warehouses will be more productive, more efficient, and thereby it will mean that you know there'll be more warehouses working 3 shifts. There will be much higher throughputs coming in over there, and that would clearly mean that the kind of equipment, by kind of equipment, I not only talk about a certain type of equipment, but the kind of reliability, the kind of productivity, the kind of safety the customer will demand from these products is going to be much higher, and which actually works pretty well for us because we are dealing in the higher end equipment. We have some very good products for the high end warehouses, such as the uh, semi-automated and automated VNA trucks, the order pickers, going forward into the AGVs and various such equipment. Our reach trucks are possibly some of the best in the industry. So this is clearly going to be a movement more towards the higher end equipment in this sector. And and like I said, even at the lower end, there's going to be a lot of movement uh, towards electrification or towards motorizing, moving from manual. Going further, also, India, like the rest of the world, will look at more sustainable solutions. And we clearly see the movement from the conventional lead acid battery operated equipment going more towards the lithium ion battery operated equipment. And that much higher uh, a much higher share of the business going forward. So yeah, and what we have always been seeing is about more automated solutions coming into existence. Clearly, I think these are the things which the warehousing industry or the MHE industry will witness in the near future.
So, wait, what will you exactly focus on in the upcoming year for ensuring better growth to Jungheinrich? And also, any new products that you are planning to introduce?
Yeah, there are a host of new things which are coming from Jungheinrich. Uh, Maybe I would not be all right now, but on two fronts is what we are looking at. One is moving more into the automation space. The other is looking at the market requirements more deeply and launching more and more products which is suitable for the market over here. As you can imagine, I mean, being a German company, initially the focus was, the equipment that we have and which are successful in Europe is what we work over here. But we have clearly seen that on counts, the requirements of the equipment over here in APAC, India in specific, are quite different from what is needed in Europe or North America. Development and launching of more and more products in this field is going to be a prime focus for us. So, in total, we're going to be launching more products focused and more competitive in for the Indian industry, as well as products into the automation.
So any expectations and in particular from the budget?
Nothing different from what I just mentioned, some time back. Um, uh, not really thought so much about, the things under the budget.
Also think that allied investments from the government end, right towards the road infrastructure, development of road infrastructure, opening of policies to give more land towards warehousing companies at ports or point of entries would be a beneficial move as government has started doing that. So do you think that this will also help in to boost warehousing sector as a whole, or as a allied industry push that would also help to develop warehousing sector as in a proper space?
Yeah, that could definitely do a lot towards improving the entire logistics industry. And once, the entire logistics industry, then coming into part of that, the warehousing and everything else. Better infrastructure, better road infrastructure is going to be clearly something which is going to be needed. And especially when we are looking at more consolidation of warehousing, this infrastructure is going to be very important. I think another part which becomes very important and more government focus on that, it has already been there in the last some time, but going forward on that is going to be how India improves in terms of the cold chain or the cold storage and things of that sort. I mean, it has always been there. The wastage of food and food grain all over the country has always been a cause of concern. At this point of time, another big thing is, when the vaccines come in, how well is that entire logistics going to take place, and the requirement of the entire cold chain. I mean, warehousing, which is in that space, transportation in that space is also going to become more and more important going forward.
So, sir, do you also see that warehousing players or warehousing industry is totally moving little bit towards the sustainable way of operations in India, or do you also think that those sustainable plans that company has built in for particularly this year have been pushed to the upcoming year?
Yes, but clearly, I mean, sustainability in all forms is clearly going to be a big focus area, and in all forms. And when I was speaking about our own equipment, like I said, the moving lithium ion is a clear movement towards that. Uh, when we talk about sustainability, a part of our business model also comes into that. Uh, you know, Refurbishing a truck and giving it a new life is a far more sustainable solution rather than building another new equipment. So that's more from an MHE manufacturer perspective, but from the entire industry, it may have not been on top focus in 2020, but going forward, it will definitely become uh, more and more important.
Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you happy New Year in advance. And looking forward to associate with you again on the IPF other forums and platforms as well. Also, as a part of discussions that we have come up with recently, of the panel discussions and roundtables, especially on the warehousing that will be coming up the next year. So I'm looking forward to that for you to participate as well as a speaker.
Yeah. Thank you very
Yeah,
much for the opportunity and wish you, your family, and your team all the best for the coming year. I'm sure 2021 is going to be much, much better for
and
the
much more
entire country
hopeful,
and the world. Sorry?
and much more hopeful as
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
well.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.